Happy Friday, everybody. We're here again with another investor spotlight this Friday. If you don't know me, my name is Natasha Phipps. I am a investment-focused realtor and real estate investor here in Calgary, Alberta. And I run a team of investment specialist realtors here as well. And I am joined today by the very highly requested Carleen Su, also from Calgary. I was just telling Carleen I had about a half a dozen people recommend that we should do this today. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Yeah, this should be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always like to kind of just get started and tell a little bit about how you got into real estate and your why a little bit and your backstory.
Yeah, I mean, I started my journey fairly young. My parents weren't in real estate, but I just kind of was investment minded though from my mom who invested in stocks and
Okay,
even in university she helped me pick some stocks back then. So I think that helped with the investment
for sure.
um, idea, right? But
Mhm.
then after university, I think I just wanted to get a place. I was still living with my parents, and that's just kind of um, how it is. I wasn't yet married, so but I was still looking for something to kind of to do. And I remember quite early on, I took a course on real estate investing, and it ended up being, I think, the precursor to the Rains formula property ladder. So
Okay.
it's just funny how I learned that after the fact. But then um, I think that got me started. I think when, having that interest, taking the course,
Yeah,
and just knowing that it seemed to make sense,
for sure.
I did my first investment maybe a couple of years out of university, with some seed money from
Yeah.
the parents, which was nice. And that's my first taste of it. Was able to make some good money because it just happened to be a really good time in Calgary when all the prices were doubling in 2 years.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
That was a great time. Hmm.
Great time. Wish it was happening now. But still, right? Like, I
Yeah,
mean, it just showed me the power of real estate investing. And so that was the start.
for sure.
Um, but there were things that interested me about real estate, just the fact
Yeah.
that, it's something that you could own and benefit from um, on your own. So, I mean, I had a career in oil and gas, but it was nice to kind of have something else that was also helping me save up that nest egg and to kind of, I mean, at that time, honestly, when you're out of university, you're not really thinking so much the end game, but it
Yeah.
just made sense to me. And so then I just kept doing like after a break, I was growing my family and we did some passive investing in limited partnerships for
For
condo
sure.
development in Edmonton.
Yeah.
But after a while, and I had a couple of kids and I was going back to school, back to work. And I
Yeah.
was just really feeling like, yeah, I wanted to do something outside of my career
Hmm.
and I wanted to spend more time with my kids. So those were kind of the driving
Yeah.
things that got me, aside from the fact that it was practical
Yeah.
in my eyes. Those were all the things that kind of got me more
For sure.
into it. And that's when I decided to do it more seriously.
Yeah, and I like a couple things that you said there. One, I love that even though it wasn't directly related, like what we're saying as parents to our kids, even in those small, conversations that spark interest are so important and impactful on them as they grow up. But I also like that you mentioned, while you were busy, you had little ones, you were doing passive investments, right? There's many different ways to invest in real estate. It's not just one way and you have to own this big portfolio or be a landlord if it doesn't work for you at that time. It
Yeah,
works
that's
really
that's
well.
such a good point because I think a lot of people don't get into real estate because of that. They think,
Yeah.
well, I totally don't want to be a landlord or I don't have the time. But definitely lots of ways. I mean, there's larger projects, larger developments, and you can go in as like a limited partner. I mean, that's what I did. And then now there's also a lot of joint venture partners that you could probably vet and feel good about partnering with. And that honestly is the best way to get into something if you don't want to take the time
Yeah.
to learn it yourself and to manage yourself. Yeah,
Yeah, for
totally.
sure. When there's that initial fear, I mean, it's
Mhm.
and the world is so accessible right now. Like there's
Yeah.
so many people to connect with. There's so many opportunities to connect with. And figuring out what works best for you right now or
Yeah.
at the time is so critical, and to open your eyes to different strategies. So what has been the main strategy now that you've shifted to as your kids have gotten older and you've wanted to pursue this more full time? What strategy is your kind of go-to right now or in the last several years?
Yeah, when I decide to take it more seriously, it's definitely a more active strategy, but it is the buy and hold.
Yeah.
So I guess in technical terms is more the burn where we actually buy, rent, refinance, like, or renovate and refinance. But a lot of our projects, it's for longer term hold. We get the mortgage pay down, we get cash flow. So that's a key component. We don't do anything that doesn't have the cash flow.
For sure.
And then with some sort of kind of equity appreciation component as well, right? So, we've done flips, but as we were trying to really get that cash flow, then naturally you get the suites in
Right.
a bit. And so then at first we would be looking for already existing suites.
Yeah.
But really, as we did it more and more and we refined our ideal property, our ideal area, etc., we thought it's actually just better to put in whole new suites, and we can configure it the way that we want, put in the finishings that really attract the best tenants, the kind of quality tenants that we want to hold long term. And so, yeah, that's been kind of our bread and butter over the last few years. And then more over the last couple of years, I've been doing some more developments. So brand new builds. Yeah.
And when you're building, I actually heard someone call it the burst strategy on steroids, right? Because you're really taking control from start to finish, and it pays off in the end when you want to refinance and hang on to this property. Did you have a background in construction, or is this something that you've learned from the ground up?
I think I learned from the ground up. I mean, my background is in corporate finance. I'm a numbers girl. I really am about, okay, do these numbers make sense for us? And then I'm not going to give it, if it doesn't, I'm not going to give it any more attention. But if it does, well, then I will figure out how to make it happen. And that's basically it, is that there is opportunity for that. And truly it is a big burr, because the strategy to gain wealth is to kind of hold your property in really long term, and then you hold it so that when it's the right time, then you can sell, or you can hold it forever, and then that becomes your self-made pension, your pension plan, right? So I really believe in the buy and hold strategy, but when you can actually apply an active component where you're getting that, some money to help finance your development, then that's like a win-win-win,
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. You're really combining a lot of strategies into one to maximize the long-term returns, but also being able to refinance sooner, take some money out, put it to work elsewhere as well. And you're also pursuing multiple markets too. Like you're doing this in Calgary and Edmonton, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I live in Calgary and I've always invested here because I like, for my projects that I, like for the properties I own, that for myself and for my partners, I really want to make sure I have that hands-on component, especially when I'm really refining my service, right?
Yeah.
But I am very, I believe in the Alberta market. Edmonton too is another market that I'll go into because I think the foundation is there. And there aren't that many places that actually are large city centers and can offer good cash flow. So when you're looking for like a stable investment, something that you can count on, almost like with your cash flow and your mortgage pay down, it's like a dividend paying stock, that's what I look for, investment.
And that is what's attracting so many investors to Calgary and Edmonton right now, is that long-term vision, wanting the cash flowing numbers and still affordable price points.
Right.
There is some differences between Calgary and Alberta, and there's a project you're doing in in Calgary, Edmonton. The project you're doing in Edmonton right now is really exciting because you have two suites with a carriage house and then a secondary suite. Then you have your main unit as well. So you have 3 on one residential lot, right?
Yes.
So that's and for Edmonton.
Yeah, it was actually one of the first inner city ones to do that. I mean, they have more applications now, I think, but there was only, I think there's only a couple other more suburban areas that had it. So it took them a little while just to kind of make sure that it went through. But truly, Edmonton is a good place for that because sorry, I think I've got some notifications, but Edmonton doesn't have those parking restrictions anymore. So when you're looking at developing a lot, one of your biggest restrictions is having enough space to provide parking. So if you've got like, a double garage, well, you can't really do too much more than that if you wanted an extra suite. But the fact that Edmonton has removed that restriction earlier this last summer, it's now doable. But when I actually did the application, that wasn't actually allowed. So we had to actually ask for special permission, special relaxations, but it worked out. And
and like, that's a lot of legwork up front to figure out what's going on with the city, what you can put on a piece of land, making sure the land works for what it is that you want to put into it. I mean, a lot of people consider this strategy that they want to build from the ground up. What time frame did it take from when you kind of first put an application into when you were beginning construction, let's say on that Edmonton project, just to give an idea of the scope of time that's involved?
I think if you were to do like just like submit an application, like residential, single family, it's usually just about 3-ish months.
Yeah.
Because it was COVID and we were asking for something that isn't as normal. It ended up being 6, but even then, I actually don't think that was bad.
I don't think so.
Yeah. And then another advice is truly, so you can expect about that long.
Yeah.
And then another advice is whether you're doing it yourself or like in your city or outside the city, is you just really need to make sure you've got your right team members. I mean, we all know that it's so critical to have the right experts on your team, whether it's legal, but whether it's like your boots on the ground person or your application person. So it's really important that whoever you choose to use, like if it's yourself, then you really got to get into all of the details.
Yes.
In my case, we had obviously some advice and some recommendations from people that know. So that's what I would recommend, is when you do something new, you've really got to dig into all the details.
For sure. Yeah. And then also too, like finding your contractor partner. How did you go about that? Did you ask around, interview a few? How did you choose that for city?
Well, for me, I actually leveraged my team in Calgary. So I leveraged a relationship that I already had. And so that team member was able to help manage it in Edmonton as well. And so I think that's really critical. So I do that more actively in Calgary for my Calgary project. So it does involve a lot of time spent interviewing different, if it's a builder or different service people, because you really got to find the person that knows what they're doing. And your job is really identifying that. Like, I mean, I've had people tell me, oh yeah, they know, and they say things, but then you have to kind of sift through what they say to really find the right expert, and also knowing that they can work with you and your style.
Yeah, exactly. And you still need to be hands-on, like you said. I mean, I've seen you post, you're going to Edmonton, you're in between both cities because you're there. You need to check on it. You need to be present. You kind of need to keep an eye on things. You can't just find the partner and then, or the vendor, let's say, and then step back. Staying on top of everything is super critical.
Yeah.
And the project in Edmonton, in Calgary, is this a suited property as well?
Yeah, so they're going to be are multi-unit townhomes. So I mean, we kind of call them row houses here.
Yes.
And that in itself has been great because there's certain designated lots in the city that are meant for these type of developments.
Yes.
And what's really cool is, you can actually, you have that possibility of adding basement suites in as well. And so I love this because if you think about it as an investor, you want to be able to bring in as much revenue income as possible. And, it was great. You can get a cash flowing lot by adding a basement suite. Well, now what is it going to do when you actually got 4 or 8 suites on one lot, right? So those are all a lot of the reasons why I do what I do now, what I've chosen to focus on.
For sure. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that makes really good sense. I know you and your husband formed True Capital Real Estate, it's called.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk a little bit about how you and your husband work together, and have you created your individual roles and how you make that work?
Oh, good question. So, we never, I mean, I think we have similar skill sets, but different too. So I guess we've never had that issue where we were totally stepping on each other's sides or anything. So I think, but I think as we've worked together for a while, we kind of do see where we just naturally go. And so, I'm definitely more of the manager. So, I'm the one that sets up the systems, and uh, we talk about strategy together. So we're both, you know, we like overall strategy. I think that's more of his interest. He doesn't like dealing with the day to day. Although when we first at the beginning though, I mean, he was our property guy, right? Like our property manager guy.
Yeah.
He did the showings, etc.
Okay.
He doesn't do that anymore because we have somebody doing that for us. But that was more his role, kind of the client facing, whereas I did more back office and stuff. But then as his work got a lot busier, you know, and as I'm doing this full time now, I've been able, I just taken over everything. But as a team, we're really clear. We have good alignment on our strategy. And I'm hoping he can join me full time soon. I would love that. And I think he loves it too. And yeah.
That's amazing. And you also have 3 kids, right?
Yeah.
I love talking to people about this because it's something that gets me so excited about this being a family type of business, generational wealth, like teaching our kids about money, getting them involved. Is that an important aspect within your family dynamic?
Totally. Like, I mean, it's so much part of our lives that it's, I don't think it could not be.
Yeah.
But now they find it natural. It's kind of like, if I say, oh, we got to look at a house, or we got to go see a tenant, it's just part of what we do in this family. But what's really cool is, they have like a really good understanding when you transfer that and their love of the game of Monopoly. Like it's, like we can really draw the right examples from each of those when we have to teach them something, right? And my biggest hope is that, I want them to be confident, self-reliant kids, but so much of that is being able to be financially literate. Yes. And taking care of yourself so that you have the confidence to do other parts of your life. And so whenever I can, I try to just kind of give little tidbits here and there, like, not like a huge big lecture, but
but it's a constant kind of hum of the family, which I think lays such incredible groundwork. So I just love hearing those types of stories. And, I'm starting now to meet people's kids when they're buying their first property. I've worked with them for a decade, and now their kids are buying their first, and they're actually thinking about stuff like this. Like, it's so incredible to start young, even just with a couple different decisions will have such a massive impact on someone's financial health over their, lifetime. So that's very, very cool. I'm sure they're learning so much from you.
I think, I just to add to that, because I just think it's so important, like with real estate, it's getting in early, like obviously taking the right steps. You're not going to go in blind, but really it's that time in the game that really helps. And so when kids get in like, even if they're understanding the concepts in elementary, junior high school, like you're so much more ahead, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was telling Carleen before this, my kids are playing a game called Roblox, where they keep wanting us to deposit money so they can buy stuff. And I went in there and I was like poking around, and I learned that they could actually earn money within the game if we invest a little bit of money. So yesterday we had a little conversation. We broke down how much they could earn per day, and so it's just taking those basic principles and applying it to something that, like a board game or something that they're interested in, to get those wheels turning. So I like, huge props to you guys as parents. I think that is so massive. I love hearing about it. The one thing I wanted to chat with you about too, because it comes up often, a lot of people in our group are, just getting going, or they maybe have a couple properties under their belt, but mindset, and I know that word, like we use that word a lot, but it is so important. And it's easy to kind of get bogged down with fear or analysis paralysis in this space. Would you have any advice for that kind of feeling when you're in that space, as to how you would, to talk to a friend about it, let's say?
Yeah. So, and this can be applied to anything though, but it's like when you feel that fear or that uncertainty, I think sometimes what you need is you need information.
Yeah.
So you do have to make the effort to get the information. And so whether you choose to like say join a network like RAIN, which I did back in 2014 or something, that was very helpful, because then you're, and as a network too, if you just get it for like in doses, that's really helpful. You don't always have to do like a 2-weekend course, but like a weekend course, but getting information is key. But then past that, like getting information, but then you're like, still, I don't know. I would say the next best thing is then making sure you reach out and get the help of somebody that's already been there.
For sure.
Whether that's, a really experienced investor focused realtor like yourself, or another investor who's done it and been there, or you want to be the money partner and do joint ventures with like somebody like myself, or a company like, those are all really good ways to actually get in it and then mitigate your risk as well, because now you're not figuring it, you're not reinventing, you're not scratching from square one, you're actually getting ahead. And at the end of the day, you're probably getting more, or at least equal to the same, earnings or rent or something, versus you just kind of, checking it out on your own and figuring it out, right? So that would be a big thing. And aside from that, though, is really recognizing when you're stuck. Like if you're stuck and you're actually not making a decision. So, a big thing that I've been trying to get a lot better at is also making quick decisions. And so, you have to actually figure out, do I need more information to make a decision, or do I just need to decide that this is the right decision now? How do I take those steps to get to that next move, right?
That is excellent advice. Decision making is a conscious skill to work on, like being able to identify what's either causing you to not be able to make a decision too, right? And I mean, there's absolutely no reason to not be able to connect with other investors these days. It could not be easier. It could not be easier right now. And I find the investment community across the whole country like very welcoming. It's very easy to connect with people, and whether you're raising money or a financial partner, there is people out there that can connect and can help you and work you through that. So I think that's incredible advice. And joining a community is a really great way as well. I also find what I like about investment communities and events and this kind of thing is it's very easy to just get bogged down in daily life, and next thing you know, a year passes and you haven't done anything. So it holds you accountable too.
Totally. I think that is such a good point. And I did leave that out because I guess it was kind of tied to when I said, I joined a network called RAIN, and at that time it was only monthly meetings. And even that was useful. But now it could be constant. Like if you ever feel like you're just not doing anything, well then get on and then see what's out there. And even as your mind is turning into that topic, that it just gets your mind spinning again, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It gets the thoughts moving, like they say, where you put your energy, that's where the energy is going to go, right? Like that's what's going to happen. So I think that's huge. And not to confuse that with you need to keep up with the Joneses types of things in these rooms, but it's more just to keep you moving forward, and to just keep developing. I mean, and one opportunity always leads to some other opportunity, even if that one didn't work out or whatever, like it always leads to something else. And there's always more and more things coming. So yeah, I completely agree. The accountability, but just the information and finding like-minded people goes a long way too. There's always the naysayers out there, right? Who can get in your ear. And have you dealt with that much, like the kind of naysayers out there in your family or anything like that, or not too much?
I would say not too much. I've been pretty lucky in that, I don't kind of have typical Asian parents, and neither does my husband. So it's like they were never too overbearing with their opinions. And at the beginning, I do know, like, yeah, I want at that first property, I wanted to get a second one. And I remember at that time, this being kind of newish to us, I was recommended not to, and I still seriously looked into it, but really not too much. And I really do think your point about really being with like-minded people really helps, because if you've done your research, you know which direction you want to go.
Yeah.
And really another thing is we can look at who has the life and the lifestyle that you want. And if they're in real estate, that's probably, a good guide, but once well, then you need to take action in it by, talking to naysayers, whether those are your friends, your family, like you just really need to control that.
Yeah.
And kind of, yeah.
Exactly. 100%. Yeah. There's so much good advice in there. Where are you kind of headed next? Like, you've got these 2 developments going. I mean, one's kind of close to being done, right? The Edmonton one looks close to being complete.
Yeah, we're possession is next week, actually. So,
oh, yay.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
And so you have a management team there for the property management side?
So for all of my properties and the ones that I hold with partners, I manage them.
You do?
Myself, like through my property management company, and that really allows me to just have a much better handle on the property, how it's being leased out, and the maintenance of it. So I have somebody in house that will report to me in terms of, okay, what needs to be done. It allows me to have like a really close tab on what's going on. And so yes, I'm not out there personally, but I am watching.
You're involved.
Yeah, I'm involved, and that's how I like to do it. I think I'm also putting systems in place so that I can grow and help other investors more, but also provide the same quality of service with the management of these investment properties. So that's key, right? In a long-term rental, you really need to make sure that it's maintained and managed well. So that's important to me.
Well, and at the end of the day, like, doing joint venture deals or people investing, they're investing in you. They want you as the partner for a reason, right? So that's part of your value proposition to your investors is just how you run things, how in touch and in tune you are with what's going on. So I imagine that's a very big positive in their eyes, that you are that involved in things. So yeah, I mean, that's a huge benefit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm careful to whenever, like, if I were to do anything out of, like, not in-house, I guess I would be very careful to do that. And so this is kind of the best way that I've been able to do to make sure that I can definitely keep up with the demands and ensure quality, because that's key to me. Like, the promises that I give, or the commitments that I make, I want to be able to do well.
Yeah, 100%. And so, obviously these are 2 big projects. Are you going to continue down this strategy of the kind of burr on steroids, do you think? Or are you going to pursue other types of things in the coming years?
Honestly, I see myself still going, because it just makes sense to me. With those, like, the numbers make sense. I can give superior returns with this type of an investment to investors. So I don't see myself steering too far off, and but I do really want to make sure that I do these well. So that's my really big focus for this coming year.
Yeah.
And the basement, like the up down duplex houses, like single family homes, those are always there, and I think those are always great investments. And it just really depends on what suits the investor. Like, there's some investors that are like, yeah, I just want a house that's my name on it, and I see it and it's concrete. Or you could be like, you know what, I don't care to maybe be the mortgage qualifier, and I just want to be a partner on this, but I've got the cash, and I want to get the returns. Well, then here's another option that I offer. So I like that I can offer a variety of things that meet investors' needs, right? And I've been looking for even smaller ones, or in a different price range too, because there's people that really want to get into real estate, but maybe they can't afford like the $500,000 house.
Yeah.
So, so I've been looking in Edmonton as well to see if there's the right product that will help people that to really reap the benefits of real estate investing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So who might be a good, if there's the people watching that might be interested in like learning more about your opportunities, who would be a good fit for investing with you guys? Long term, they have to have that long-term vision, I imagine.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of I really do believe in buy and hold. So a lot of our investments, we offer equity position in them.
Okay.
So, they'll share in the immediate cash flows and the mortgage pay down, but also in the longer term appreciation.
Yeah.
So that's one defining thing. That's, what whether it's these larger projects or a single family home, yeah, you get equity position and we share in like all of the upside. So that's, so if people are looking for that, I have an opportunity to kind of structure some of these deals differently so that maybe it's just a shorter term investment, but currently a lot of them are longer. And really anybody that is looking to diversify a bit, like there's a lot of people that are working full time and they may love their job and they don't really care to go into real estate investment, but they understand that there's benefits to it. Well, then, that's when they should reach out to somebody like myself, because then you can still get that benefit. And it doesn't mean you have to be a landlord, but it doesn't mean that, hey, you have to leave real estate off your books, like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they don't have to be located in Calgary or Edmonton. They can be anywhere, right? And partner with people like yourself here in Calgary. I did want to rewind something that just kind of came to my mind that you said earlier, that you believe in Alberta. And I talk to people from all over the country, right? And the first thing I get asked is, what's going on in Alberta? And I'm kind of like you. I feel, cautiously optimistic, but that, I feel very good about investing here and have done even well through the harder years. And so I'd love to kind of get your take on people who ask you that question, like what and why do you believe in Alberta?
Right. Well, it's because, I mean, I don't invest in the smaller towns. So, speaking more specifically to Calgary and Edmonton, they're larger centers. And so, for one, oil and gas is not going away. My understanding is that, there was a big influx of the shale oil supply, which then did affect the oil here in, Western Canada. But that won't always be as big as it was. And the demand for that is always going to be around. So in terms of that industry being a bit bigger in Calgary, it's not going to go away. No. That's one, but also because of the size of these cities, and the amount of like youngish families and really employable talent here, the government is already making changes to encourage more diversity in the economy and other industries as well. So I think it may take just a little bit of time, but it will get there in terms of like a balanced, more balanced economy. So those are the reasons why, and because of our low cost of living here, housing prices, that's why we'll always still get people immigrating in here. Then we'll, with the population growth, then we'll have the demand in jobs, et cetera, which, then.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So those are reasons why. Yeah.
Yeah. You really took the words out of my kind of mouth. That's exactly the things that I touch on as well. I think something interesting happening right now too, in the last couple of weeks, even I've seen there's a lot of interprovincial migration happening right now due to people being able to work from home. They can live wherever they want. And, but like, these are large cities, these are not going anywhere and they're affordable, a very well-paid workforce in Alberta, like Calgary's, I think, #1 for household income, Edmonton's #2 in the whole country. Like people don't understand that, I think, when they're just maybe reading a headline here and there, right? So the economic fundamentals of just growth and the workforce are good, and there's diversification coming, which is encouraging as well. So I like what you said there for sure. Did you have anything to add to that?
And I guess maybe one other thing to add is like, it depends on where you're investing in the real, like where we are in the real
For
estate
sure.
cycle, right? And, there's always ups and downs, but I would say, you know, I personally, because I've been looking in the East as well, but I'm a little bit more worried too that, okay, have we hit the top there, or is there more growth, which is very possible. But
Yeah.
over here too, my feeling honestly is that we're pretty close going. So it's like, if you're going to get an investment, you'll know you're not overpaying, you're getting in
Yes.
the low, right? But you can't time it perfectly. You just have to know that,
That's right.
you're getting it. But also that's why having good cash flow makes sense to invest here, because when you're getting that, it's almost like a dividend where you can get, like my projects that I have, like they're getting every month like 10%. Well, that's almost like your bottom,
For sure.
and everything else is bonus.
Absolutely. And there's such a good opportunity to take your equity that you've made in these high appreciating markets and put them to work in something where you're actually getting that positive cash flow. That's at least what we're seeing is there's tons of that happening. So there's absolutely no reason you can't put that money to work elsewhere.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Yeah.
For sure. I know you have to run soon to go pick up your kiddos. But is there any kind of like, your top piece of advice or something like that you would give to new investors, or people maybe considering Alberta? We talked about a lot of things here, but is there anything else that you would maybe want to add to?
I think maybe being clear about what you're trying to achieve. So like for me, being in real estate isn't just I actually love real estate. I have a passion for it. I love everything about it. So I may not be the typical person, but I am clear about what real estate can provide me. So for me, it was like a bit of freedom. It gave me options. So, even though I was thinking about maybe doing something entrepreneurial while I was working in corporate, like when I did decide that this was what I wanted to do, it gave me that option. Whereas, if I didn't have a portfolio to rely on in the back, and I think it would be it'd be different. And if even, if things change with work, and if something were to happen to my husband's job, like that too,
or you get sick or whatever,
exactly.
The word options there, that is my favorite word when it comes to real estate investing. We have needed it over the years. I have had some pretty substantial health issues over the years, much better now, but previously, going back 8 to 10 years, I was very unwell, and if we didn't have our investments, it would have been a lot worse. Like, it would have been a lot more stressful, right? So having the options there, or we've taken income to invest in other types of, businesses or opportunities that we are really interested in, that maybe a little bit more high risk, but we can take the income that we've earned over here and put it to work in another way, or pursue something that we maybe wouldn't have been able to, without that. So I love that. Options, you never know what life's going to bring. I mean, this whole last year is a really great example of that, right? And having something to fall back on, whether it's just a little bit of real estate, doesn't need to be crazy, but it gives you that security, that there is something else that you're in control of, right?
Yes. All of those things. And I think that's something that you also said about, like maybe you could put it towards something else, that I think your life is, like, my general philosophy is about, like, your life is meant to be lived, and it's too short to just spend it doing something that you don't want, or feeling like you have to do this, or you're obligated. No, it's like, if you had real estate that was helping you, make some extra income, or that you had it growing, so that was a nest egg for you, then it just gives you option to live your life more fully. So, for me, it is real estate, but there's other things. Like, I mean, my husband likes golfing, and I want to be able to provide my kids the opportunity to do the things that they love. I always teach them, say, I want them to do what they love, but you can only do that if your finances are good, and you can say, I'm not going to, I know it's taken care of. So for me, that's what real estate is. And so if anybody is kind of not sure, and be clear about what you're looking for, and if real estate seems to be, then look into it. And feel free to reach out to me. I can totally,
For sure.
chat and
I absolutely will be linking Carleen's information in the YouTube description, as well as in the comments in the Facebook group. I mean, Carleen is a huge wealth of information, and everyone speaks so highly about you as well. You have an excellent reputation, and people really connect with you. So I thank you so much for doing this here today. If you do want to go reach out to Carleen, I will put all her information. Go follow her, go watch her projects as well. She has some great content that she posts about what she's got going on. So definitely go give Carleen a follow. But I think we will wrap it up there. I appreciate you doing this so much, and you provided so much value to the group. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for having me. It was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Okay.
Okay, take care and enjoy the rest of your day. Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.